Hello everyone and welcome back to Dark Souls Easy Mode. So last time we reached the base of Blighttown and today we will explore this place. I should also switch back from the spider shield to the grass crest shield. Now as I move around here, a dark spirit, Man-Eater Mildred, will invade. She will find me in here, and the mosquitoes will also find me in here, but mosquitoes respawn, and the respawning ones, so once I killed the ones that are currently here, these guys, the ones that respawn would not be able to find me. There we go, that's Man-Eater Mildred dead. I don't believe they respawn indefinitely. I used to think that, but I've since heard from a few sources that there's a limit, so they won't respawn indefinitely. They'll just respawn for a while, maybe 5 or 10 minutes. But it's still really annoying because they'll follow you all throughout the swamp, and they're quite difficult to hit because they can fly, so their height varies a lot, and a fair amount of movesets can't really hit them very well. Okay. And she drops a bunch of humanity and the butcher knife. I'll switch this out to the standard purple moss clumps. A high poison resist is recommended, by the way. So, yeah, by now you should have found a few armor sets which are high in poison resistance. It just allows you to not get instantly poisoned when you touch the swamp. And I'll go around this way to explore a little. This is where I came down, by the way. And incidentally, I will get poisoned in a second. I'm not trying to prevent that. The damage that the swamp does is fairly negligible. It doesn't do much damage. It's kind of slow and yeah. Not too bad. I mean, you can see my health is slowly ticking down, but it really is quite slowly. So this poison can probably be countered quite easily by just chucking Estus on occasion. Okay, I'm noticing the R2 of the Zweihander is quite useful against these guys. And incidentally, since I'm currently already poisoned, I cannot be poisoned more. So, being poisoned by the swamp makes me immune to the poison from the mosquitoes. Which is incidentally also a useful trick for avoiding the toxin from the blow dart guys. Because if you're toxined by your own dung pies, or by dung pies you threw yourself, which you've probably scraped out of... Let's not go into that. But yeah, basically, if you're toxined by the dung pie effect, you cannot be toxined again by the blow darts. And as I've explained before, the dung pie toxin is a lot weaker than the blow dart toxin. And yeah, these guys will pursue you quite a long way. Mosquitoes, I mean. And these leeches, while they don't look like it, are actually very nice for farming. Because they are, I believe, the first enemies in the game which can drop large titanite shards. So they basically drop the upgrade materials required to go from +5 to +10. And so far we've only found one of those. Ow. Should probably drink a bit. Now, up this branch, or route, or whatever it is, lies an optional area. I would strongly suggest not going there yet, tackle it later. I'll get into why later. So basically, you can go up there now and get a plank shield and a twin humanity. But I would strongly suggest not venturing up there yet. I'll show you the area in due time. But basically for right now I would not advise it. Back here there's more leeches. Yeah, they don't drop the large shards too much, but they can drop them. And there's also a few items scattered around here, so I'm basically going for all of these as well. There's a leech right around this corner, and the auto or the lock-on feature can be a little strange and not really cooperate there. So you might think you can lock onto him, but then it suddenly locks onto a different one, like one of these guys there, instead of the one right in front of you, because it's just a bit weird that way. And also another thing you should note, which is kind of true in a lot of areas of the game. Very often, as you approach a group of enemies, the first enemy to aggro and to see you and attack you is not always, or very commonly isn't, the one that's closest to you. And so you should really be careful when you're approaching a group. Keep all the group in mind, don't just look at the one closest to you, because it might be that by the time that one aggros, 2 others have already started approaching you. And just approach really, really carefully when you're approaching a group of enemies. Like right here again, the one further in the back, because of how he was positioned, saw me first, and that's just... It happens commonly. I'll try to draw attention to another place, well I definitely draw attention to another place where that happens, where it can really break your neck. But again, just something to be careful about. I mean, these leeches aren't that dangerous, so if you get multiple of them at the same time, it's not the end of the world, but yeah, might as well be careful. Okay, and again, this is a place where they kind of aggro onto you in reverse order as you approach. So the ones at the back come first. Ow, didn't roll in time. And sometimes with these leeches it can be a little difficult to see if they've dropped you anything. So best thing is to just run into their corpses and see if you get a prompt to loot them. Because sometimes, as I said, it doesn't. It's not that easy to see if they dropped something, because their corpses are quite large and obstruct a lot of the sort of glowing soul effect of a dropped item. And now I should already have 3... No, wait. 2 large titanite shards, okay. I was wondering why it's 3, but that was just the normal shards. And especially if your weapon is not as, say, overpowered as the Zweihander. I would suggest, instead of just going through the area once and then moving on to the boss, just go through it a few times and kill these leeches, farm them for their drops. It can be very, very useful to just have a weapon that's upgraded well at this point. Now, not getting too many drops right now, but that's also partially due to the fact that I don't have good drop rate at the moment. You can increase your drop rate by having more soft humanity. So right now, as you can see, I have 1 humanity. Up on the top left of the screen, there's a humanity counter of 1. That will increase, as that increases, my drop rate increases up to 10 humanity. Excuse me. And there's also a ring and a headpiece, both of which have an effect on drop rate. Positive effect, I should say. But both of them are not yet available. Ah, it should have been a hit, but wasn't. Oh well. And I believe the mosquitoes can see me again here. Yep. Notice how I no longer have the wolf ring, so I no longer have the poise, so I get staggered out of my attacks quite easily now. And I only have one Estus left. That should be... I should probably rest at the bonfire and reset the area, but also get more Estus. And here you get Poison Mist and the Pyromancer starting armor. And again, I keep reiterating this, that people say this game is unfair and difficult, but it really isn't. So I'll just rest and quickly show you what we found in the last few... in this area, basically. So as you might have noticed, this area is quite poison heavy. And so, I mean, we found the thief armor, so this black leather stuff, before we even entered the area. We found that in Lower Blighttown, and that has very good poison resist. But let's say you missed that. The starting armor of the Pyromancer has even better poison resist. As you can see, it's weaker against physical, it's lighter as well, but it has incredibly good poison resist. And then there's the Shadow Garb, which we picked up in Blighttown, which also has incredibly good poison resist. Also higher than the Shadow armor that we have. Also slightly lighter, but it's actually... I think the Shadow armor is better stat-wise, but I dislike how it looks. And then finally we've also gotten the Wanderer armor, which hasn't got super high poison resist, but definitely higher than our starting armor. Not much, but a little. So basically in a fairly short amount of time we've gotten the black leather armor, the tattered armor, and the shadow armor, all of which are good against poison. And they've given us these... The first one before we even encounter the poison area, the second kind of in the poison area, and this towards the end of the poison area. I mean, the tattered cloth stuff, you really can't get there before being poisoned, but still, it's one of those things that people don't really think about, that the game might throw some nasty stuff at you, but never does it throw it at you without also giving you the tools to handle it. Now, if you don't know what you're looking for, you might not find these tools. That's true. So it doesn't just give you the stuff that you need without you checking, you know, where can I find it, but it rewards exploration that way. So a lot of players might just rush through areas and not look at armor they've picked up, or not look at the stats of it beyond the physical defense. And that's a bit silly, to my mind. Because, yeah, this is a poison-heavy area, as you might have noticed. But then you also get a bunch of poison resistance equipment to handle it, so... It's just, I don't know, it's a minor point, but this is quite common in the game, where it gives you a situation you haven't encountered before, or some new enemy type, or anything really, but never without also giving you the tools to handle it. But these guys are dangerous, by the way, but you can backstab them. I don't know what they're called, undead barbarians or something? Backstab works fine. They're more dangerous than the ones with clubs because, well, these guys have stones and they're kind of powerful. Ow. I would just like to point out that I blocked that, and that still did that much damage. So it really is nothing to take lightly. Up. There you go. Have a lovely death. And they drop dung pies. Yummy, yummy dung pies. And on this corpse you can find the Great Club, which is a pretty powerful strength weapon, but a little slow for my tastes. I don't particularly enjoy it, but well, it's there. Okay, now there's a few more items I want to grab around here, and then we can move on to the boss. Incidentally, these guys there, 3 of the barbarian guys, you can just pretty much ignore them. They don't aggro that far, and you can just run past them. I'll show you exactly how. And it's no coincidence that the mosquitoes ignore you if you're right here. Again, that'll become clear eventually, and there's a large titanite shard. I'm just trying to check if I forgot any items around here. I don't think I did. And I don't want to go for the boss fight without going to the bonfire first, so I'll do that now. There we go, running attack, very powerful. Because we now have enough large titanite shards to at least get this Zweihander to +8. We'll get the remaining shards we need to get it to +10 either by farming. So if you like, you could now farm the leeches for a few times and then get the necessary shards, large shards rather. Or you could wait until the next area after this, and you will definitely get enough, plus you will get an NPC that sells them. I won't farm for them right now, because the Zweihander is pretty powerful, and that should be fine, and I'll also show you a summon that helps with the boss fight. I can also level up a little bit. I wouldn't mind a second attunement slot and then endurance. Actually, no, let's go for no, let's go one each, why not? And then I will also attune combustion again. Okay. And keep in mind, the reason I am able to move freely through the swamp is because I have the rusted iron ring, which allows me to run through the swamp. Otherwise I would be impeded in my movement. So that's a good reason to go to the tutorial section before going down here. And as I've shown you, you don't need good equipment or anything super advanced to deal with that area. The Black Knights could be a bit troublesome, I guess, but you could probably handle them by backstab fishing. And at least the ring you can get without fighting any of the Black Knights in the tutorial anyway, so yeah, you can always go for the grab the ring. You don't even have to fight the boss, and then just let me just eat this while I explain. So yeah, you can basically grab the ring and then leave, and then come back later for the boss and the other more difficult encounters. Okay, these guys here, you might notice you can log on to them, but you don't have to kill them. In fact, I would advise against it. They don't do anything. You can stand as close as you like to them, they will not attack you. However, if you kill them, kind of little worms will come out of them, and those are fairly aggressive and actually quite dangerous, so just run past them. There isn't much of a reason to attack the worms, and really mostly they'll just do damage to you and be a pain because they're difficult to hit. So just run past. And this is a bit of a trick, which I mentioned before, but I don't think I did it. I'm going to touch the summon sign for Man-Eater Mildred, and then instantly, before she's fully summoned, I will enter the boss gate. And then skip the cutscene. This will cause the boss to spawn with the amount of health it has for a single player encounter, but the Phantom will still join in the fight. Now, especially for this fight, it doesn't always work in the sense that the Phantom can sometimes get stuck on the fort gate. But you will still but the boss will still be on single player health levels. It just means you'll actually have to fight it alone because the summon gets stuck. I hope it doesn't happen, but we'll see. So, by the way, the summon sign only appears if you defeated the Phantom of Man-Eater Mildred. So if you just ran away from it or something, this sign won't appear. Okay, so we're summoning it, and then we're traversing the white light before it's finished. I'll skip the cutscene. And then we'll just dodge around and see if Mildred makes it through. Wow, that was an early explosion. Mildred made it through? Kinda. It's a little broken. No, she made it. That's good. Okay, let me apply my power within. Now, I haven't explained what this does, so I'll just show you. Look at my health. It is slowly ticking down now, because that's what power within does. It drains your health, but it gives you a very nice combat damage boost. Well, not just combat damage, it improves all your damage. Quite a bit. I rolled a little early there, but it was still fine. By the way, Mildred is naked, wielding a plank shield and her butcher's knife, but she's for some reason still incredibly tanky. I believe the devs just gave her incredibly good defensive stats. And look at my damage. This is very, very good damage for this early in the game. I mean, I could do even more if I had upgraded the weapon I'm using, which, as you know, I'm kind of using a +8 version, which could be +10 at this point if I'd farmed. No, I'll die. Ah, that was careless. That was very careless. I did not see her telegraph the explosion soon enough, and I'd already I was spamming R1, which is something you should never ever do. And basically, by the time I saw that she was going to use it, it was still early enough, but I'd already chained the second attack, so I was already... After that swing, I followed another swing, and the swings with the Zweihander are quite slow. So unfortunately, that was a little silly of me. Oh, by the way, this bonfire is kind of weird in its geometry, so very, very often your leg will just glitch out like this. Just something funny to notice. And let's not be silly this time and do the boss fight properly. I'll actually not summon so we can see a little better what's happening. But yeah, summon help. Mildred is very strong. She can tank throughout that fight and does decent damage. So if your own damage isn't good enough, try to just survive and Mildred will do the legwork. Yeah. And as I may have mentioned before, this is not meant to be a perfect playthrough. I do die, and that's fine. And yeah, if you run around on the side here, then the barbarian guys with the stones, they won't come for you. Aside from that, this boss is basically one that, because that explosion which killed me does so much damage, it really is a boss that teaches you to pay attention to... take a sip. It teaches you to pay attention to telegraphed attacks. So you're really meant to... Okay, what are you gonna do? Okay, just Spitfire, fair enough, I can get my souls then. I don't think it's that many, it's like 900-ish. A little more. So 269 damage without power within. Let me just... No, this was not a good moment to buff, but I should be okay. $377 now. So the thing about her attacks is they do a lot of damage, but she telegraphs them heavily. Okay, take a sip. Don't want her to be in the lava. And yet the lava eventually goes away, so... There we go. And that's how that fight is meant to go if you're not careless and get hit by the explosion. As I said, the explosion is telegraphed kinda strongly. She kind of hugs her spider bits, which is like lady bits but spidery. And when she does, she'll charge up the explosion and 2 or 3 seconds later it'll explode. But yeah, the thing is, I basically done this and the second swing was already chained up, and as you can see it's a fairly slow animation, so that just broke my neck there. Otherwise I could have gotten away, but I didn't have enough time. But yeah, after you've done this, you can pull this lever and thus ring the second bell of awakening. And I'll just leave this cutscene in because this does something very nice, which it shows you a place that if you do a lot of exploring you already know and you've already seen. And I haven't visited it yet because I knew there was nothing to get there. But a lot of new players will have visited it. I've recently seen 2 streamers, no 3 actually, play through this game for the first time. And in each instance, when they saw this, they recognized the place. And they recognized that the gate was now open, and this told them where they had to go next. And this is a very good way of handling this, because there's not an NPC telling you, okay, next you'll have to go there and do this. But the game still tells you where to go, it just hasn't had an NPC tell you, basically. And this is an invisible wall, which after this fight I strongly suggest you go through it. Now this guy will ask you if you're a new servant. You must answer yes. This is not a commitment of any kind, you just tell him, yes, I'm a new servant, and he'll let you pass. If you accidentally say no, I think you have to leave and rejoin the game, so quit and reload, basically. And that'll allow you to give him the correct answer next time. And then you can rest here and leave. Now, this guy will become a pyromancy merchant, but only once you've become infected with an egg. And I might show you how to do that, I might not, depends on my mood, I guess. Now, I can also level up probably twice, yeah. I'll go for more endurance and more health. I usually would not go for vitality, but I feel that, at least for showing new players the game, it's helpful to have a little more vitality than the base value. Which usually I just run with base vitality and that's fine for me, but I guess it's not always a good idea. Now, you have to get back out of this place, and there is a nice shortcut for that, which I'll show you next time, because there's some more stuff to be gathered anyway. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.